Morning everyone, how are you all? Hope you are doing very well. Today lesson, as you know from the topic, we're going to learn about authentication and authorization using Laravel 8. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, let's create a new project using Laravel command, new, and let's call this auth example. Okay, and we need to make like get like this, which allow us to scaffold the authentication template. Everything has built for us out of the box from Laravel. Before we used to make auth, but now has been changed. So let's okay, so they ask us about, do you prefer to use Livewire or the Entra? So we have to go to the first one, and no, we don't work with other team, so let's click no, and this will take a little bit. I will come back when the installation is completed. The installation has been completed, as we can see from the screen. So let's open this folder. Let's open. After we open, let's run our server. So I will close this and come back here very quickly, and let's okay, we are in the folder PHP artisan serve. Okay, so let's copy and paste it, bad boy. I already have it here. Okay, so what we have, access denied, blah blah blah. Okay, very cool. So as we can see this, if you have this error, just let's create the database first. So I will exit this and I will go to the environment, and here we delete this. Just for simplicity, we're going to use SQLite. Okay, and let's call the database, and okay, ready to go. So let's create the database file. I will use dash, which is in the database folder here. Okay, database, and let's call it database.sqlite. Sure enough, we have it here. Okay, so let's go ahead now and run the okay, so let's run the server again. I believe we have to run the migration again. Okay, we have this error, and we have to delete db database because SQLite will Laravel very clever enough to go to the database and get the database automatic. So delete this line, and we believe if we go here, okay, everything is work perfect. If you got any error like keys not exist about the data table, just run the migration using PHP artisan migrate, and this will create the migration, all the migration. If you get any error, you don't get this page. So carry on in our lesson now. What we're going to do is to create a new user, but before we create a new user, let's go ahead to the database and create a model first using PHP artisan make model, and let's get post, and let's give it m. So this will create a new model for us, and for the m I ask just to create migration as well for this model. So two birds by one stone. So let's go ahead and run, and we can see the model created successfully, and we have the migration as well. So let's give it, if we go to the migration, yep, so sure enough we have it here. This is the boss. So I will add just title and description for this table, and let's run table, and let's give it the string. Okay, let's for the title, and as well string for, let's call description. Okay, and let's make foreign key here. Let's call this bad boy. For the user, each user will have a post or mini post, just for the simplicity, just to demonstrate how we use authentication and authorization. Carry on. So let's make it this as a foreign ID, and let's give it user ID. So how Laravel is very clever enough to go to the user model or user table and make this as a foreign key. So this like a convention. Okay, so let's go ahead now, and for the search optimization, let's make as index here. This optional, but this will help in the optimization for the search. Every time you have a foreign key, just go and make it like index. Okay, so far so good. We have the postage and we have our relationship here. So let's go ahead now and create one post. I will use this software. We can use in the thinker, but I prefer this one. So I will go here to the database, one project, this one, to the database, which is this, and open it. And I will go to the, okay, so let's run the migration first so we can reflect this change. PHP artisan migrate and see what we have. Okay, so successfully we have migrate. So let's open the database again. So this is the one. All right, so we have posted and description, blah blah blah, title. So let's create my post and description, my description. I have spelled it wrong here, but anyway, let's carry on, and the user will be 1. Okay, and okay, so just make a new record here. New record. Okay, so delete this one. Okay, so let's give it again 1. Apply description, my description, finally my title, and I have to click apply here, my description. Okay, and click right change. This is free for the Mac, DB browser for SQLite. I believe this version for Windows. Okay, so we have a post here, blah blah blah. So let's go ahead now to the home controller. I will drag this. Okay, so let's go to the home controller. Home control. We don't have any home controller. Let's go to the web here. Okay, sure enough we have this. So let's change this to the, okay, we have this welcome, but this not a controller. So okay, sure enough. So let's make a controller here. So what we have, let's create a controller. We don't have a controller first. So PHP artisan make controller, and let's call this home controller, or boss controller. This will be home. Let's call it home. Okay, sure enough. Okay, so we have the home controller. So let's go ahead now here, and this will, let's make it as array, and what will be the action will be index. Okay, so we have, okay, we have to give it this class again. This, we don't need to type in a string app slash http controller, so this will observe the path for us. Okay, very cool stuff, very cool. This is not going to run, so we have to define the index action. So function, and what we have, index, and return a view, and this will be welcome. Sure enough, we will have return artisan. Okay, I have to serve. Okay, I make 2 terminal, one for the server, so this will not going to turn off anymore, and another one for our command. Very cool stuff here, very cool. Okay, cool stuff, very cool stuff. So let's create a user here very quickly. Register, and let's call it user1, and user1.gmail. okay, and password, and click register. So okay, very cool stuff, very cool stuff. We have the user, we don't need to go to dashboard, so let's go to the index, and sure enough we have it here, and we have in the post table 1. So this, the ID will be 1, just to give you what. So let's print something in the screen. So let's access to the auth, and we need user, and see what we have. So I have to onboard this. Okay, that's okay. So this is the user. So if we go, okay, so this is the user information that we have created. So they have one, and in the posts table we have one post for this user. So let's go ahead now and bring that post to the screen. So we use post the model, and we have find, and we have ID like this, and let's define this in a variable, and we have to import this. Okay, so cool enough, cool. So let's see if we are right. Yeah, bingo. So we have here blah blah blah. As we can see, we have our post from the table. So let's go ahead now and do something. So let's print this in the screen if the user is able to see. So for example, if the user is number one, he can only see his own post. So let's go ahead and try this. So let's go ahead, and we have created just now is authentication. Authentication means when the user type his username and password, he's logged successfully in the database. Okay, cool enough. So let's go ahead now and make some fun with the authorization. First of all, the authorization means that what the user can do and cannot. So for example, in our example here, we will make very simple example, but it's very effective as a tutorial to show you how it's works. So first of all, let's create a new policy. Okay, PHP artisan make policy, and let's call this post policy. Sure enough, so we have the policy here now. Okay, it's empty, it doesn't do much. So let's go ahead, for example, and create the first policy will be function. Doesn't give me the shortcut. Okay, here we go. Sorry, this okay. So very cool stuff here. What we have to do here is create. The user can create. So this will receive a parameter type user, and here okay. So I will assume that any user, authenticated user, can create a post. Okay, for another role, we will make function edit, okay, post, and this will receive user like this, and will receive as well a post. Okay, sure enough, and this will return it true. So let's import this very quickly. So let's return here if the user ID equal the person who create this post, which will be user ID like this. Okay, cool. So let's make it okay. Very cool stuff. So let's onboard this in the auth server provider. Okay, in the policy, as we can see here, we have to define all the policy in here in this array. So we have example here. So what we need, just follow the example. We need the model, which is post class, and this will be the key for the policy, right? So the policy, post policy, and like this. Sure enough. So it's very cool stuff. So we have it now in the place. So let's check if this work. Okay, we have something in Laravel called get, which allow us to access to the role very quickly from the controller. So let's go ahead and access to the class get, and this will be allow, and we have to import it, which here okay allows, and ability and the argument. What the ability? What we have edit, right? If we go to the policy again, we have edit and receive two parameter, the user and the post. We don't need the user because the get is very clever enough to know that authentication user information. Okay, so let's go ahead now and print this in the screen, for example. Okay, so we have true. If I go to the database here, which is correct, I make this for another user, for example, and I try to change the database, and I click, so false. So this successfully show us the authorization the user can or cannot. If I bring it back here, change the database, and sure enough, I will true. Very cool stuff, very cool stuff. This is very nice feature now. Okay, let's, for example, let's go ahead here. Okay, let's go back to the this blah blah blah, this welcome view. So let's go ahead very quickly. Welcome, not Laravel, but we need, yeah, this one. So I believe this one. So let's save it. I believe I opened the wrong one. So we have, so not in the kernel, we have opened this the wrong one, so we have to go to this one. Okay, so let's make some cleaning here, and let's clean this bad boy, and let's clean this as well. Okay, very cool stuff, very cool. So let's make one blah blah blah. Sure enough, we will have one. Okay, so let's now imagine that we need to check the user in the view. How we can do this? It's very simple. We can use can. Okay, so can, what we have need to check is edit. Okay, edit for what? For the post. Okay, very cool stuff. And let's end the can here, and let's type here, yes, it's your post. Very cool stuff. So let's edit. I believe there will be error here because we don't have the post here. Blah blah blah. Clear enough. I define variable post. So let's go ahead now and in the here, and last I will show you two way here to pass it. So let's pass it like this, post, and always in the array use this arrow. Okay, and what we want to pass is post, and sure enough this will go to work now. Okay, it's your post. Very cool stuff. If not, your post will be empty here, or if the user not authenticated, will bring him back to the login page. Cool stuff, cool stuff. So let's go ahead now and okay, I don't need to use this. Let's use something called compact. Okay, and this pass it post, and this will clever enough to pass to wrap this in array. For example, we'll do the same what we have done previously. So that's sure enough we have the correct the same result. Okay guys, so we have covered, just quick recap, authentication when the user typed the username and the password and he logged successfully to the system. And on the other hand, the authorization, or the same hand, let's say authorization, what the user can do, what cannot do. If I go to the post policy here, we have make the create and edit. Sure enough, as you guess, we can make the delete. For example, I copy and paste here, delete, and I'll copy and paste this, and copy paste more time, and let's make this delete will be, for example, user can only delete, or let's grab this here, and this update. Okay, for example, this will be like show the form for the user, but he cannot click update. And this one as well, maybe the update here for the admin only. Okay, for example, you can pass as admin, okay, like this, and of course we don't have this, we have to add it to the database and migrate it. Okay, and then use this as a one-time. This very recommended to create your own class like this for each of your model and make it like this. This, whatever the application get bigger and bigger, you follow this convention which is recommended from Laravel. Okay guys, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Every week I upload 2 to 3 videos, so please, in the next week or 2 weeks I will create full project from A to Z, like Facebook, like Twitter, etc. and will be involved using Amazon Web Service, use Firebase as well. If you don't want to miss that, please subscribe and like this video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.